Did you say, are we on the circuit? Is that what you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, I suppose. So my name is Kimberly Bouldin, Pastor Kim. I am the founder of the House of Women. I get a lot of excitement and joy setting women free from shame-based theologies, so that they can live freely in their bodies and life and love and ministry. And so that's what I do. That's what I'm passionate about.
So, Kimberly, we'll introduce you more into our What's on the Agenda segment. But the first thing we always open up our show with is just what you're navigating. So we're like, what are you navigating? And we just ask each other, like, it's basically like where we update our lives, update the audience with our personal lives, just to keep us connected, personable, and human.
Right.
But Raven, you can demonstrate, and then Kimberly, you can go.
Okay. Well, what I'm navigating this week, honestly, I'm cliche. It's the new year, and we were talking on the last pod. I'm a New Year's resolution girly. I love accomplishments and things to accomplish or work on. So I'm stoked because it's the new year, and this is like the time for goal people, so to thrive. So I'm just so excited about the opportunity to. I have some things on the rung we talked about last episode, but I have some things that I'm ready to jump right into and to get done. So I might be a little bit pretentious over the next several months. Forgive me now, audience. I'm on it right now. I'm on it. So honestly, that's nothing crazy, nothing too complex other than I'm in like the goal-oriented mind frame right now. So yeah. How about you, Kimberly? What are you navigating?
I love it. Thank you for freeing me by just saying that you love being goal oriented. That just um, nourished me. But I feel like that's something I need to be like, I need to tone down. But yeah, I love setting goals. I love to do lists. And so this time of year, I feel quite energized. I'm navigating the theme. I give myself a theme for the year as well. I'm big on
I
that.
like that.
My theme for this year is immediate, audacious execution. Immediate, audacious execution.
True.
I couldn't decide on one of the words, so I said I'm gonna do all three. And it's working. And I'm really excited to see how what comes to the surface as a result of me locking into that mindset of doing things immediately and doing things audaciously and
Oh,
execute it. I'm an overthinker. I'm a recovering people pleaser. And so I'm wanting to push myself to execute without
yeah.
too much and getting too deep into the weeds of what if and how,
Mhm.
just doing it, and letting the chips fall where they may. So I've already done some audacious things that made my stomach like, what are we doing? Are we really about to do that? And it's been exciting to say, like, yeah, I did it. And so it's been fun. So yeah, that's what I'm navigating this.
Nice. Love that. I love that theme is good. I like that. Like that.
That's
Okay.
actually a picture for real.
No, seriously.
That's a
Give
title
us
right
a tagline. Give us a title in the sub. Yes,
there.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
Right. I,
Yes.
it's
Love
true.
that. How about you, Margaret? What are you navigating?
Child, ready to give up on the year already.
Just
That's
we're gonna
real.
hard pivot. We're just gonna do a hard pivot. We just
Oh, I literally had to remind myself. I was like, I did 10 minutes of Pilates this morning, and I was like, girl, this is hard. Like, I didn't even get to do my run. I was like, why did you create this long 5K plan? Like, I was like, then I was like, what you say on a podcast? Hold her accountable. Let's keep going. I'm also navigating the fact that I just backed up another doula. So I was in the hospital. I went back home to Louisville for a wedding. Um, for the first, they had a wedding on the first. My cousin. It was so beautiful. I just love Black people. It was so Black. It was. It was.
The best. The best.
Yes.
I was like, the hood came out for this one. It was so beautiful. It was
I
so
love
great.
it. I love
Um,
it.
and then I went straight to the hospital on Saturday morning. And I didn't come home until Sunday morning.
Wow.
It was a long birth. And I stayed because I was like, I was backing somebody up, but she like, when she got there, she's like, you can go, you can stay, whatever. So I stayed,
Mhm.
and I learned so much. Like I saw all the,
Nice.
I got to see an epidural happen. I got to see them break her water. I got to see so much stuff that I was just like, I'm glad I stayed. 'Cause it was like a crash course in the dueling. Um, and it was great. But the reason why I'm like, the new year is like not happening right now is I'm tired.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
And today was my first day back to work. So I am after our rest season. So I'm trying to find the motivation back into the new year. And sometimes it's not about motivation, it's about discipline.
Yep.
So
Yep.
disciplining myself. Yeah, that's why I'm advocating.
But you also said the last couple episodes how, or the last one, moving into it slowly, like that's also a part of going into the new year. It doesn't necessarily always have to look like Speedy Gonzalez. Sometimes it really does. When this was your words, just look like moving into it with slow and but intention. So
Mhm.
that's good. Hmm.
I'm also learning too that discipline isn't always the move for me too. Sometimes it's just acknowledging that I need to embrace what makes me happy about this or
Hmm.
what drives me more than discipline and being more like,
Right.
let's find joy in this mundane, boring thing that I have to do.
Mhm.
That's more of a motivator than good old discipline.
Right. Do. Right. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Here on the What's on the Agenda podcast, we give space for the nuance. We want to talk through social issues that impact Black women, socially, politically, financially, and all the illies. So, what's in the agenda? But since you're here, we want to talk about you and those things. So, if you could just briefly introduce yourself and like introduce your book and this, are we on the circuit?
Did you say, are we on the circuit? Is that what you?
Hmm.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, I suppose. So my name is Kimberly Bouldin, Pastor Kim. I am the founder of the House of Women. I get a lot of excitement and joy setting women free from
Mhm.
shame-based theologies, so that they can live freely in their bodies, in life, in love, in ministry. And so that's what I do. That's what I'm passionate about in this season. I also have a speaking ministry as well, where I go to different churches and speak um, on whatever God lays on my heart. But usually it's going to be about probably a woman in the Bible and giving fresh perspective, a liberating
Hmm.
perspective for these church spaces, because I just feel like that's what we need.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I'm also the author of The Sisters Stay Dropping Gems. It is my
Yes.
that I birthed probably a year ago now. Finally was able to sit down and get it out of my system. How I always introduce this book is I say that let's just imagine you have a slumber party at your house and you invite these biblical women to come to your house for a slumber party, and they're
Right.
giving you advice on life, love, sex, relationships, all the things. So what would Hagar have to say, or Sarah, or Delilah, even, or Jezebel? I think there's like 21 women in there that give their perspective according to what they share in scripture already, and using that as a launching pad to determine what they would have to say to us as women, in a way that decenters men, and what their needs are, and speak to us as women, based on their experience in the Bible. And so it's been really awesome to see how this book has been resonating with a lot of people. And I'm so glad that it's an awesome resource, not just only for like devotionals and stuff, but for those that need a resource when it comes to preaching and speaking about women as well,
Mhm.
because it's going to give a fresh lens on what Sarah or Eve or the woman with the issue of blood would have to say about, life, love, and relationships. So yeah, that's a little bit like.
Obsessed. First of all, I have. I'm trying to contain myself, so I'm working on. I'm gonna let you rock, because I already have a thought. So just hearing your introduction, I'm like, I have a thought that I think we can just skyrocket and run with. But
Yeah. I honestly just forgot about the devotional part of it when I was scanning it. I forgot about the questions back, and I was like, I've been looking for a devotional. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, that's go ahead, Raven, and release your.
How here I go? How no? How did you not? We had an episode a few months back about deconstruction,
Okay.
and kind of what that looks like, how to essentially deconstruct while not losing your faith, because I think both are necessary, right? But obviously, even when you hear the word deconstruction, most people just is immediately like done with that nonsense, right? You know what I mean? And especially when you think about women and how they've been so misinterpreted and just misused in sermons, just historically and all of it. I can't imagine doing such a deep dive. I probably could see it, but I'm just curious about your process. Doing such a deep dive in the on biblical women, and it's such that you write a book about it. And I'd imagine you'd have to think through all the horrible sermons that you've heard about women and all the things. Like, I guess I'm wondering how your process didn't end you up deconstructing and walking from your faith altogether. Does that make sense? Can you talk through some of that at all, or do you resonate with
How am
that?
I yeah, how am I still here?
Basically.
Uh, I think for me, I think my experience with the things of the spirit, with
Yes.
um, the presence of God for myself is ultimately what trumps the mess and ickiness that I've experienced over the years in church spaces.
Yeah.
You know, when in therapy it came to my realization that all of my church hurt, well, not even just church hurt, all of my trauma, all of it is connected to church folk.
Mm.
Being born and raised in this thing, everything that I've endured as it relates to abuse, trauma, all those things is somehow connected to church spaces. And I think how I've been able to overcome that reality is to tap into what has been good for me, even through the midst of all of that. That's one. And then also giving myself permission to acknowledge the foolishness that has happened, to acknowledge that this is messy, to acknowledge um, that there has to be more than this, and kind of just giving myself permission to ease my way through that journey. So there was a time where I had to walk away. There was a time where I had to step back from all things church, because it was too much. It was too
Yeah.
traumatic for me. Giving myself that permission. And then also, I think giving myself permission to approach scripture with all of who I am, all of my humanity, all of my womanness, all of what I bring to the table, what I'm seeing in scripture. And with womanist theology, we talk back to the text, and allowing people
Mhm.
permission to talk back to it and say, well, I don't appreciate that.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
seeing myself in Bathsheba, seeing myself in Tamar, and allowing myself to sit with that, and allowing my theology to kind of grow out of that. So I think that's how I've kind of stayed, is by just allowing myself to tap into my honest experiences with God, and then on top of that, being honest about what's really been happening, and giving myself permission to
Yeah.
differently, and create a new way of experiencing faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it scary? Was it scary?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What was really scary was how upset people were,
Yes. Yeah.
and how, um, like how you rub up against traditional thought, how you have to confront what's always been, um,
Mhm.
how it makes others uncomfortable. And as somebody who has always been searching for validation and searching for acceptance and searching for love and pick me, to finally stand in my power and agency to say, I no longer think that way, or I no longer believe this. And to see the shift happen, particularly with people that I look up to and I love and respect and admire, and they're kind of looking at me sideways, or giving me. I had a couple people say that they would not be able to promote my book, that they would not be in support of it because of
Wow.
some of the things that I share in there, and that was hard. That's part of, I think, the deconstruction, and even the reconstruction is acknowledging that you have to give people permission to disagree. You have to give people permission to stay in their bondage,
Yeah. Oof. Mm.
And realize that free people um, make people who are captive uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm realizing that. And so just having to stand in that, but that was not easy. I had to really do a lot of regulating of my nervous system, tapping into like all the feelings that come with people saying no to me, or people saying you're wrong, or people saying, be careful, be careful. What is this you're talking about? It's like, okay, everybody calm down. I have not,
Yeah.
and that's
Hmm.
it. And the urge to want to defend yourself,
Yeah.
be like, stop misunderstanding me. So there was a lot of unlearning where I had to really unlearn not wanting to defend myself all the time and not wanting to make people understand.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
a lover of all things Jesus and God and all that. I'm not like leaving the church. I'm not leaving the faith. If anything, I'm repairing the stuff in our faith that's problematic and harmful.
Yeah.
Uh, we can't
Hmm.
have things going on the way that they continue. So yeah, in a nutshell, it was hard. It still is hard. I'm a lot better, but it was on those in those earlier. I think that's why it took me so long to even release the book. There was a legit fear of how will I be perceived? What
Hmm.
to reject me now? Whose pulpits will I no longer be invited to? You know, um, who's going to disown me? All
Hmm.
those questions came to mind, but I'm so grateful that I was able to move past that and still
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Frank, did you want to? Because I can follow up a million times. So, do you have a question?
I was gonna say so much of that resonated with me.
Mm.
Because the with the original question of how did you stay with the faith, and that's just like simply I felt and keep and continue to feel something in my soul that keeps me linked despite
Mhm.
instructing of what has been taught. And the only question, not the only question, I have a few questions, but the question that came to mind first was, at what moment did you decide, "Oh, I have to like find some redemption for these women and really for yourself."
Mhm.
Time
Mhm. That's
us
good.
Christian ladies read ourselves into the text, and like you said, we talk back to it, and it's like that is not what is happening here. Um, so like, at what moment did that happen? I know for me, it was like I was 27. I was holding myself to marriage, and I was like, I'm a black woman in America. This is not about to happen for me. Like, I'm not probably gonna get married till I'm 30s and 40s, and you want me to not do nothing until then? It's
Morgan, Morgan, you jumping in. Woo. They gonna-
not gonna work. And from there, the deconstruction happened. So like, what was the moment that was like, I have to do something, I have to say something and write this, or not even write it, just begin the deconstruction part.
Similar story, the same. I think it's around the same thing. I'm 40 plus now, and around my late 20s, early 30s, I had a really bad breakup, and um, it was just like coming into this reality of, okay, Lord, how long?
Right.
How long am I going? How long am I going to be doing this single life? I have real desires and needs and urges and wants. My body is working very well to the glory of God. This can't be life. And so that was, I think, kind of the springboard for the ministry that I have today, as well as um, the the impetus to go deeper into scripture to see what does the Bible say about women like me who are
Yeah.
experiencing what I'm experiencing. This can't be it. The what's been said in the past is not enough. It's not sufficient.
Mhm.
That you just need to pray and fast and wait on the Lord. Like that's severely lacking. So Eve has to have something to say to me. Um, the woman caught in adultery, she has to have something to say to a woman like me. The woman with the woman at the well, I'm sure she would have something to say that has not necessarily been taught as it relates to my specific experience. And so yeah, that put me on a journey to just kind of relearn and unlearn some teachings around embracing my body, embracing a theology that's rooted in grace and mercy and compassion versus fear, guilt, and condemnation, especially around my sexiness, my
Mhm.
womanness, and all of those things. And just giving myself permission to lean into that all the more. And it's been a beautiful journey. It's been a difficult one, but it's been a beautiful one to finally be at a place of peace with God, my body, and others, having to be like this major what was it? No more sheets experience. We have given up the no more sheets in Jesus' name.
Baby, the sheets are hung. The sheets are folded.
Up.
The sheets are not even hung. No, they're not hung. They're folded and put away,
They're
TT.
folded
They're
and put away,
folded and
Raven.
let's put them away. It's time.
Oh,
It's time. It's
Literally.
past time, but I'm giving grace. I'm giving grace. No, but in all seriousness, on that note, though, just kind of like to push the conversation forward. I think I love these sorts of conversations because as much as the further we go into them, they feel so like matter of fact, absolute
Mhm.
for us. But the reality is, oh, it just gives me chills when I think about it. Like this is as like foreign to people as somebody with three heads, right? And there are so many girls and women that are still so steeped in retribution theology and a theology that like is bounds them and that is bounding, right? And it breaks my heart so much. So anyway, saying that to say, as much as this feels so matter of fact, and in my brain, it's like, baby, the sheets are in the closet. Like what, baby, the sheets. And I'm sure it's women that still listen to that on repeat. You know what I mean? Like that, like so I'm hoping that in furthering these conversations, and I want to have these conversations at a high level sometimes, but also at a low level, such that people can listen to them who are still who the sheets are on the couch still. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
yes. There's so much. It's so sticky. That's the only. I'm a visual person. That retribution theology that you mentioned, the shame based theologies, the um I have to punish myself, the suffering, all those types of thinking,
Yeah,
it's so deeply entrenched in um our theologies and how we've been taught. And so it's a beautiful work, but it's a challenging one to really help ladies unlearn
yeah,
these things that's really holding them back. And so, yeah, like my Instagram, I like to keep it um palatable. So little things, saying things like, this whole controversy with that blasted dress.
I knew you. No, we all
oh,
say don't go. The
this
conversation.
actually is the perfect time to have you on this. That was the Lord. Can I say that?
It
This
was.
is the time. This is the time to have a woman and to have
Our work.
yes, I forgot all about that. But you know what?
Girl, that it was just a huge reminder that we have such a far way to go. The way that lady was dragged was, and these think pieces, these gargantuan, like, paragraphs defending the old landmarks of holiness, right? And to the point that the ladies in my ministry in the House of Women are coming to me. So now I have to have a whole, I had to rewrite my whole like curriculum for this month. So now I have to have a whole teaching
Mm.
on I'm calling it dress code deliverance is what we call it. Dress code, because we need to be delivered. Clearly,
Yeah,
the there's a lot of church girls that were really struggling with
absolutely.
seeing the dress, seeing how beautiful she was, but also hearing these loud voices about holiness is right. There is a standard. Rah, 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 rah. Um, then it was frustrating. Like, wow, we're still here. We're still holding on to this. Like, it was just wow. I couldn't believe it.
I seen a video that was critiquing this, and she wasn't critiquing. She was like, "Y'all, this was me at 27, dressed in the church, and she had a hat on. She looked like she like I looked like I was 40. I was 23, 26. Like, let that lady live."
Hey,
And
I
and
same pictures.
and I just want to I have so many thoughts. I'm trying to like calm myself, but what bothers me most about it is as a woman who has decentered men and like is actively on that journey every day, I'm not correlating this for me, but I just want to point something out. As many singles ministries and we gonna get married ministries that the church girls do and are like steeped in, like, I don't understand how they don't recognize that this dressing like a 50-year-old is so antithetical to all the efforts that you put towards those things. Something that, like, so many girls have to talk to me about having to deconstruct from pedestalizing and idolizing marriage. And I'm like, if that is such a big goal in that sort of arena, again, that's not necessarily where my brain is, but I'm saying since I know that that's such a big goal for them, I don't see how they don't see the correlation of between how this is like directly impeding that goal or like, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
diminishing that goal. And so my brain, I'm just like, it's like none of it is making you're in this cycle of just nonsense. And I say that respectfully as a woman who was steeped in it all of my life. That's my first thought. But then secondarily though, um, our correlation between holiness and clothes, like I just I don't know where to start. And all I guess I can say here is just it breaks my heart that we still correlate our dress with what we have on, or I mean with how God sees us and the merit that we the favor or the merit that we have with God. That really scares me. And I'm glad that you're doing the work to talk to people about it and go ahead and like do the deconstruction in that space, but that speaks volumes to me to so many problems that are so multi-layered. The fact that we still in 2025 having public think pieces about clothing and holiness. And furthermore, the thing that bothers me most about it is we're doing think pieces about somebody's clothes, and I can't ever get church people to talk about things that are like actually potent, that are actually impacting people's quality of life. I'm like, we have to do chili cook-offs and all these things to get people to go vote and things like that. But we can't. I'd be like it's so many major things. Even if this was a priority for you, fine. You know what? Whatever. But like, I just be like, can we talk about a little bit? Like, there's so many things that are affecting the body of Christ, or that the body of Christ can be so effective on because of our numbers that we just, I don't know. I don't know. That was all over the place, but it just, yeah, it blows my
Yeah,
mind.
I think that, because they keep pulling up this idea that, we've lost respect for the church. The church has lost its way. It's lowered its standards. But if we are reducing holiness and respect and standards to hemlines and fabrics, right? We are missing the plot. There is exploitation that we need to be dealing with, manipulation, abuse, injustices, lack of accountability in, within the community, within church spaces. There are so many more important things that is not being talked about. But what gets us all riled up is a woman of God in a dress that she prefers to wear. Like, why? And that's the other thing too. Like, I want us to have more freedom to allow people to live. There's
Mhm.
something, this ability or need to control what other people are doing in church spaces is so frustrating. And I can't believe that we're still yet like, just because she feels free to wear it and you don't feel that conviction doesn't mean that you have to place your convictions on
Right.
everybody else. And I feel like that's a major part of, traditional church, is that
Yeah.
since I can't wear the dress, or I don't feel like I can wear the dress,
Yeah.
none of you can wear the dress either. We all have to be the same. And that's not how the spirit works. And I wish that we would just give more room for people to live by their convictions, as opposed to making it seem. And then on top of that, sorry, one more thing, the goalpost keeps moving. So
Right.
y'all say like, don't wear this, don't do this, don't do that. 20 years ago, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that. Now we can, apparently. Like, you all keep changing the rules, which again is another form of control and manipulation. And so it's just a blessing to finally be free of all of that. But at the same time, as somebody who's working with ladies who are deconstructing, who are wanting that freedom, it's frustrating when stuff like this comes up, to like have to go back to the drawing board and remind them again that you do not have to give into this punishment theology. You do not have to give into, you know, being a church mouse and, all the time.
Mhm. Mhm.
You
Mhm.
can actually live your life. So
Yeah.
I was
So
gonna ask,
mhm.
you go ahead.
Well, just one last thing on that, because I always like to give the nuance because we so pro Black woman on this pod. I never like
Yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
critique. I never have critique for Black women without having like the softy in my heart just pop up, because I just want to lay out how much I do understand, or to me, this is so representative of how limited our communities still are in a lot of ways, right? And it's just so representative of like how our church bodies are just steeped in shame, such that we don't even recognize when we're just bleeding the shame that we're steeped on, or the oppressive thumb that we're still so steeped under. And as irritating and frustrating as it is, and it is, because I've been watching the think pieces. At first I thought it was like social media fodder, like maybe one or two people were angry about it, but then the whole internet came after those two people. No, I know people super, super, super personally that like had a think piece to offer to it. And I was like, dang. But anyway, so I just want to say, like, that sort of mass psychosis, and I say that in the most respectful way. I don't mean it in like, oh, y'all are crazy. I mean, legitimately, that sort of mass psychosis, as angry as it can make us, it really is representative of, like you said, and again, shout out to you, Kim, for doing this work, the really necessary work that has to continue to be done. And it should break our heart. After it angers us, it should break our hearts that, whoa, that oppressive, I can only imagine how that oppressive culture is impacting real parts of your lives that are like much more meaningful than how you dress, even though that's significant. But like, man, what are the other ways that this level of oppression is just bleeding into your lives and like disrupting the quality of life that you live as a Black woman? And then it shows up in our health and our well-being and all the things. So just want to offer that. Yeah.
Was just about to say it shows up in our health.
Yes. Mhm.
Black women and the chronic illnesses that
Yep.
we navigate is, I think, a tall tale sign of how oppression is affecting us
Yep.
as a community. We think they think it's about a dress. Y'all think it's about holiness.
Yes.
This is about living. This is about survival.
Yep.
Uh, this is not even surviving. This is about thriving.
Yep.
This is about abundant living. And it's sad. Exactly. It is sad to see the cognitive dissonance that's holding a lot of women back. That's why I'm
Yep.
so passionate about setting women free. And sometimes and so I'm glad we're having this conversation, because sometimes I'm like, do I really need to be doing this? Like, is this really necessary? Blah, blah, blah. And then something will happen. I'm
Yep.
like, oh,
Yep.
I do need to stay on the wall.
Yes, you do. The spirit is
Wow.
yes.
Because sometimes maybe it's because I surround myself with so many
Yep.
forward moving
Yep.
voices that sometimes I'm like, oh, this is old stuff.
It's old.
Yes,
No.
we're past this. But my God, when I went home and just hearing the conversations of, people that I grew up with and hearing where they still are, I'm like, wow, there's still work to do. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
It was ironic that that question came up because I was gonna ask you about what are the signs of like a free woman? Because like,
Mm.
what are the signs of liberation? Like, because on a we can read your book, but I know there's somebody like, okay, but where's the rule book at? Like, but where
Right.
are the rules at? But honestly, it's like get beyond the rules. What are the signs of like a liberated woman?
Hey, WOTA fam. Thank you so much for listening to our pod each week.
As we're continuing to grow, we would love if you would give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you are listening to us on.
And make sure you're subscribed on all the platforms you listen to us on.
And comment on our page. We would love to shout you out.
Now, enjoy the rest of the pod.
That's a wonderful question.
Yeah.
Um, woo, that makes me so happy to even just think about it. I'm free woman, I think, in line with this conversation, um, has just kind of freed themselves from being policed.
Yeah.
They no
Mhm.
longer care about being policed by culture, by church, by family. They literally just do not care. And even if they do care, they are so clear on who they are and whose they are that they're
Mhm.
willing to rise above all of that. Um, Signs of a free woman. Um, there's there's a joy I find. There's a renewed sense of joy and peace that they have in just being themselves. and experiencing life. Um, my framework, I guess I'm going to my framework. The framework that I teach in my House of Women is called it was called the S5 lifestyle, and I've changed it to the freedom lifestyle. And so free women are spiritual, they're sexy,
Mm.
they're sensual, they're secure, and they're sisterly. They have a freedom in the spirit where they're able to just enjoy the presence of God unapologetically as a woman, without being concerned about the opinions of others or how others are going to think. They're free to live in their bodies and enjoy their bodies, enjoy the curves and how their body moves, and just tapping into all things girliness for them. And it's also even
Mhm.
with sexiness too, like because not everybody's version of sexiness is going to be the same.
Mhm.
Mine.
Mhm.
So some women's sexiness may be more, I don't know, structured, and then others women's sexy is more flowy and more like, "Ooh," whatever it is, but they're
Mhm.
comfortable tapping into what makes them feel like a woman, what makes them tick, what turns them on, which leads to sensuality. How I talk about sensuality is a free woman is free to live by their senses. Like
Oh,
they no longer feel guilty about
I love that.
like living a life that is like in high definition that literally turns on their senses. So it's if people think immediately about like sex and masturbation when I talk about sensuality, like that's like this much of it. We're talking
Right.
about like living in a world where you see things, you smell things, you taste things, you touch things, and you literally enjoy it and you get really excited about it and are no longer ashamed of really savoring the watermelon or savoring, the black eyed peas and just really
Mhm.
enjoying all the experiences that life has to offer and tapping into your senses. That to me is a free woman. And I've been around those ladies that are just like, everything is a party for them. Everything is
Mhm.
like, whatever they're looking at, like, oh my goodness, it's a sunset. And they're just like, yay. And they're just like, they're
Mhm.
up with it. And at first, it comes off almost childish a little bit, because like you are a little too happy to enjoy, But then I feel like that's a free woman who's really
Yep.
just living in the essence of who she is. So yeah, sensuality is a big one for me. And then security, like you're very much secure in who God has called you to be and who you are meant to be in the earth and what you're supposed to, provide and just exist, just being all of that. And then sisterly, I feel like free women are not jealous of other ladies. They are a girl's girl. They are supportive of others. They want to see other ladies win. They want to see other ladies free as well. So yeah, in a nutshell, I think that's what's coming to the surface. A free woman is just free to be themselves, free to be sexy, free to be sensual, free to love God, free to love others, free to make mistakes.
Mhm.
I think that's another big one too. A free woman does not beat themselves up when mistakes are made, when things don't go according to plan. They hold more compassion for themselves and give themselves more freedom to just live their life, mistakes and flaws and all. So
Mhm.
out there, I can go talk about that for a while.
I was I saw a video that was talking about this girl was joking around, not joking, I mean she was serious, but like that how Rahab was in Jesus's lineage, and she was like, Jesus love the hoes, like
And does.
I was but I was just thinking about, like, she was a liberated woman, like, she was doing what she, like, wanted to do, doing what she had to do, whatever however you wanna frame it, and I also was thinking about the quote, because I was quoting this to my, daughter, I was like, um well-behaved women seldom make history. And just thinking about like liberated women are not looking to be well-behaved. They're not looking to wear the dress up to their neck. They are trying to they all the things you just said, they are moving and grooving the way they want and feel called to do so. And those are the women like you are making a step and a stance towards something to help liberate other people. And seeing that there's something that needs to be said. And those aren't the women that are just like, and that, I mean, it's no shade to those women because we're trying to get those women free. Those are not the women who are perfectly fine with just like hearing a sitting in a pew and hearing from the pulpit a sermon that is daggering to them and being okay with sitting there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the ones who are okay with, like, being treated any kind of way just to say, "I go to church every Sunday." Like, no, it's time to leave. It's time to go somewhere else. It's time to make a stance and, like, you can do that. Like,
Yeah.
God is not going to punish you for saying that sermon hurt me, that this church continues to hurt me or whatever. This theology continues to hurt me. This theology doesn't resonate with me. And also, um, but I also give grace because I don't think a lot of us know, like, how to verbalize, like,
Yeah.
the ickiness that something might be said, and then like we were talking about the manipulation that could be going constantly through church, that I don't know how to verbalize that, how you what you just said up there and how this is happening, all this stuff is not adding up, and that is not working well with my well-being. I just want to offer that.
I think the thing I want to add something to that too, because what I was hearing from you, Kim, about the sense. First of all, love that. It reminds me of the Esther Perot thing we were just talking about last week, Morgan, about like being sensual, and sensual is moves well beyond sex. But anyway, I appreciated that so much because as I've even been personally trying to do that, what I'm recognizing is that a lot of that is part of the decentering man piece, and I mean that in the sense of so much that is traditionally associated with femininity are the things that annoy us, are the things that we are told to get rid of. So, which is why you mentioned sometimes she'll look childlike if she is so enamored by her environments and stuff, because we associate anything that's not masculine or traditionally masculine, because I know that that varies in terms of definition, but I guess I just mean things that men don't traditionally do. People are annoyed by, they're irritants. It's things that we try so hard to reject about ourselves. And so much of tapping into your sensibilities also correlates with that decentering men stuff, right? So if I'm giddy or if I'm gleeful, and if I taste, like you said, that the one that I always use is like sitting watching the sunset, chewing a mango. It's like my favorite thing to do on the planet. And that's what asked me the other day, why I still believe in God. I was like, because one time I was in Hawaii eating a mango and it was 80 degrees at the ocean, and I could have just sat there all day and cried. And I'm like, why does this taste good except for there is a God to give us sensibilities to enjoy something this wonderful? Anyway, so that's why I still believe in God. It's so random. But and that to say, I get that so much. And the more I do that, the more I'm realizing like it's a rejection of masculinity and traditional masculinity and traditional manhood in the ways that we were told to button up so as to be more like a man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and well, I don't know if you have thoughts there before I keep going. Yeah.
I do. You just reminded me. I talk about Queen of Sheba in my book. And I feel like Queen of Sheba is one of the women in scripture that really embodies her femininity in a way that I think a lot of us can learn from. And so one of the chapters is like, if Queen of Sheba was giving us advice, right, on how about life, love, and relationships, she would say, employ your femininity in the workplace, right? Because she understood the power of economics and used her feminine wiles to her advantage. Some folks think femininity and power are at odds. There's this expectation that a woman must act like a man in a man's world, and being more masculine means being more productive and getting the job done. If we embrace our girliness or femininity too much, we'll miss out on success. But I feel less stressed and I feel more alive when I'm in tune with my true self. We were taught that feminine means weak. And like, we that motif of like blonde girls who are like ditzy and super,
Right.
and we've convinced ourselves that we have to be fully in our masculinity to match it with men, but it's artificial. It doesn't mean you won't use your masculine qualities to get things done, but you'll balance this with your grounded, attractive, feminine essence. And so, yeah, I feel like that's such a major point, a major part of decentering men and embracing who we are as women. And I feel like the church, I don't even think realizes how much they play into that. And it's crazy because the church is filled with women. But why is it so unsafe to be a girl's girl in church spaces? Like for real. Like that is the dissonance. And that's why it's so hard to, I guess, to find safe churches these days, for me anyway. It's like, can I be a woman here?
Yep.
Can I be a girl, like a full, not preacher, not pastor? Can I be a woman in this space? Is it safe for me to hear sermons here because it's going to honor my womanhood and celebrate my femininity and not minimize it or tone it down or you're doing too much,
Mm-hmm. That's so the way that I've noticed how unintentionally anti-woman church has been. I can name a million things. Yeah, unintentionally for sure. Some not so much. I just want to point that out because one of the ones that stood out to me that when I started this journey of like entering into womanist theology and all the things, every time a preacher playfully like does a mocking voice or something, they do a woman accent or like they pretend to be a woman, so it's just like he ain't on that. It's like, or you can pretend to be a man in this analogy that you're using, or it'll be something like it's always like they'll mock a woman's sassy attitude, or it'll be one specific one that I found. The preacher was like, you want to be married and you can't even boil an egg. Or you can say you want to be married and you don't know how to be faithful to a woman. Like I don't like the analogy.
Right.
This very well be turned to a man. Why does every single time it's time to mock or mock someone to make your point of your sermon, it's always in the feminine. We're so naturally anti-woman and we don't even recognize. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Or the flip side of that is making fun or not so much making fun, but talking about women's bodies in a way that's demeaning. Like, Eve had a Coca-Cola body shape. And just talking negatively about women's bodies in a way just to get amens and people yelling and shouting at you. Like I had to write about that on Facebook a few years back, like just kind of giving men some pointers, like you don't have to do that. It's very irresponsible. Very irresponsible preaching to think that the quickest way to get an amen is to demean or degrade a woman's body. Do better. Like be more creative in the preaching moment and find other ways to bring the audience closer to what it is that you're talking about. But don't settle for cheap, rude, mean, degrading things about women.
Yep. Morgan, you got something? I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say it's ingratiated in our culture though, too. So again, always give the hand of grace, right? It's ingratiated in our culture. So like all they're doing is just emanating everything that we already do. Our culture is anti-woman, and the Black church, obviously, as it stands in America, not that we know the history, but the Black church as it stands in America was like a downward spiral from evangelical church, white church. And so a lot of our traditions and our cultures stemmed a lot from an oppressive group and from an oppressive institution that kind of gave us our ways, not the beliefs, but definitely the ways and a lot of the culture. And so, like, I say that to say, y'all, audience, right? If you go to that church or if you are that sort of a preacher and you find some of those unintentional or unintended sexist ways about yourself and how you preach and how you engage in church, or even just the things that you listen to, recognize that it emanated not from a great place. And so even deviating from it is you also not just rejecting patriarchy and just oppressive behaviors and patterns, but also rejecting white supremacy, right? And so I know that can feel like there is a through line. There is definitely a through line.
Yeah.
So
Colonialism, all of that. And me coming from a Caribbean background, and seeing how whiteness, white supremacy is so entrenched in, Caribbean culture, and how we are so churched in the Caribbean culture as well, and seeing the dissonance and seeing how much we want to be white still. In all that we say and do, and having to unlearn a lot of that. And I, even myself, like, so when I came to America, came to the United States, coming from Canada, there was so much that I had to unlearn. I didn't realize it until I got here. I had to do a lot of listening, a lot of just sitting in discomfort and deconstructing a lot of my beliefs that were rooted in Caribbean white supremacist culture stuff that I was raised on. So yeah, to your point, a lot of what we're seeing in churches is definitely rooted in the culture, but it's rooted even more so in this white supremacist, colonial, I want to control you mindset. And then on top of that, the respectability, I think is a huge part of, what is just lingering and why this work is so necessary, because respectability. I think coming back to the whole dress thing, that's
Yes.
that's like an undercurrent as well. Like she's disrespecting us, she's disgracing us, she's embarrassing us.
Yep.
You know, we can't be taken seriously.
Yep.
That you know is still pervasive in a lot of Black spaces, a lot of Black church spaces where we have to, you
Mhm.
know, perform for massa in
Yep.
order to be acceptable.
Because who are you trying to impress? Like, what is happening?
Like we no longer have to do that. We don't need to do that anymore.
Especially, can we just say it? She has a big booty. She has a great body, actually. And that makes y'all uncomfortable. It makes and you know what's interesting? I know it's the case because as somebody who's deconstructed, who's steeped in all this work, I still see something like that. I'm like, whoop. Like my natural inclination, I'd be like, right now.
Yep. Right.
No, if you haven't done that work, girl, I know that that's what's on your mind.
That's so real. I still like
booty, and you see that slim waistline, and then it's like the audacity. The audacity.
And makeup was amazing. Like,
right. I remember I went to a church, I was preaching somewhere, and the pastor's wife, first lady, came out, and she came out like in a crop top and some like tight pant. And I went, oh, like, okay, first lady. Because like I had to like check. So to your point, like if you have not done that work, you seeing a woman coming to church, and not just any woman, the first lady coming to church in a crop top, you probably would have a heart attack. You wouldn't know what to do. So if I had that reaction as somebody who's been, you know, unlearning all this for years, I could only imagine what other women are feeling. So yeah, I'm sharing that just to say I agree with you 100% that this is an ongoing thing, an ongoing work that we have to unlearn a lot of these things.
Yeah. Last thing on this dress thing, and I'm through. Truly, I'm done here.
Yeah.
Kim, for the sake of, because I know we key about it as like comrades in this space, but for somebody listening who's just like, plain statement, why were the dissenters about the dress wrong? If we had to just summarize it, what would you say?
Why were they wrong? Because I think they have a misguided interpretation of what holiness is really about.
mm-hmm.
Holiness is not rooted in what you wear and what you don't wear. Holiness is matters of the heart. And that's the long and short of it. We can go more deep into it for sure, but I think it's not a problem because people are led by the Spirit. And if you allow people to be led by the Spirit, it shouldn't bother you what
Yeah.
people have on, and trust that the Holy Spirit is leading them into all truth. And you go ahead and lead yourself into all truth, sir, ma'am, and leave people alone. That's Bible. Like that's Romans. That's what Paul talks about. Like let everybody be convinced in their own mind to do what they need to do. So yeah, I would say it comes down to a misguided, misinterpreted version of holiness. A lot of those scriptures that have been you know, thrown around for years about modesty and how we carry ourselves are just being misused in a really bad way.
Yeah. And I think the only thing I'll add to it is there's a difference between preference and like you don't have to associate your preference with holiness. Like you don't, if you wouldn't wear a flesh colored dress and you don't have the body that she got, then that's preferential, sweets, and that's okay. If your church community, I think you should probably steer clear from it, but okay. If your church community is more modest in tone or in style, God bless you. We're actually advocating for a theology where everybody gets the freedom to just be, because your holiness and your relationship with God has nothing to do with merit or what you do to earn his grace. Come on. Like we know this baseline fundamental theology. All of us understand, whether you are seminary trained or just at the Sunday school class, there is nothing that you have to do to earn God's grace, right? Like it was freely given. Jesus's blood was sufficient enough. It is finished, done. So her dress wasn't going to and obviously there are some nuances there, but my point is we don't have to correlate, like you said, the holiness with clothing. Preference and holiness are just not the same.
Right. And I think, you know, the New Testament makes it clear that, you know, the barometer for holiness is like the fruit of the Spirit. It's
right.
the heart. It's how
Yes.
power is used. It's
Yeah.
about justice. It's about mercy. It's about compassion. That's
Right.
how we determine what holiness is about. It's not uh about fabrics and hemlines and curves and and I think another reason why this is a problem. I think it's a lot easier to use clothing as a measuring stick.
Right.
It's lazy.
Yes.
It's lazy because it's what's harder is to deal with character,
Yep.
deal with integrity,
Yep.
deal with love, justice. Those are the real things that measure
Yep.
somebody being holy or not. But that's a lot harder to manage. It's a lot easier to say, "Oh, she's not holy because she's wearing that dress."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. Were you any question, thought, anything? Because I just
No, I take it back a little bit. You had mentioned like when I walk into a church because we pre-production, y'all. We were talking about what is it that we're looking for in a church, and one that you mentioned already was I want to be able to feel like I'm a woman and be able to be freely be a woman rather. So what is it that you're looking for at church? If you're a woman that's like I'm liberated and I love Jesus and I also don't fool with your theology. And it's what are the things that you're looking for in a church as you're seeking out a new church?
Mm. I think the first word that comes to mind is safety.
Mhm.
Um, can I feel safe here? Um, are you going to call out unsafe behaviors, unsafe teachings that happen? Can I breathe here as a woman?
Yeah.
Am I gonna be punished for having a booty?
Right.
Y'all gonna keep covering me
Mm-hmm.
up and down, are you gonna punish me because I have a voice and I have a mind that you know, thinks not even differently, but like thinks critically?
Mhm.
Is it safe for me to think here as a woman? Is it safe for me to ask questions? Can I really be in community with you all? Or do
That's
I
good.
need to be put in a box in order to be in community here? Is there room for thinking on the margins and kind of expanding our thought process here? Or is it going to be like this, this is how it's always been, this is how we always think? Or are y'all going to look at me sideways when we're in Bible study and I'm introducing another
Right.
say? Uh,
Right.
so, yeah, so it's not just about nice people.
Mhm.
Um, can I be fully myself
I love that.
without judgment, without shame, without condemnation? Are y'all gonna manage me here?
Right.
Or are y'all gonna let me be? And then on the flip side of that, obviously, being in community, there has to be room for grace and compassion and doing the messy work. Community is messy. It's not a smooth experience. There's walking with other people. That's the beauty of being in community with others, is being able to do life with others. But in order for me to be able to do life with people that are different than me, that may not be where I'm at the bare minimum, there needs to be respect, love, compassion, an openness
Yeah.
to to learn and not. I don't want to be tolerated.
Yeah.
I won't tolerate you. I'm not going to tolerate Sister Smith. You know, I'm gonna love in all of her complexities and with all of her old school ways, and I just hope that you will choose to love me as well.
Right.
I continue to go. So that there needs to be that. I do appreciate, just now I mentioned that Sister Smith, I do appreciate intergenerational spaces. I think there's value there. I think I would want to be a part of a church
Yes.
that values all the generations. It's always kind of like, as much as I enjoy, millennial churches or, young
Mm.
adult churches, whatever that is, I still have my seniors.
Mm.
There's wisdom there. There's joy there. There's a lot to be learned from women of God that have seen some things and done some things, and I feel like there needs to be more safety there. But again, even if I'm going to be in a church that is multi generational, these generations, y'all need to listen. Y'all need to be respectful, okay? Y'all need to at least hold space for, for me as I hold space for you. So that's a little bit of what comes to mind. There needs, I think, to be accountability. I want to be able to go to a church, and if I hear, the pastor say something, I want to feel safe enough to be able to say, "Hey, can we have a conversation about
Yeah.
who said? Can I offer some perspective? Can I offer, and I as a preacher, like preachers don't like when people talk about their sermons and say, "Why did you say that?" But I'm hoping that the church that I'm at would at least have a pastor that's open to unlearning
Right.
really harmful statements, and just being humble enough to say, yeah, maybe I could have said that differently, and knowing where my heart is coming from, and not that I'm trying to tear him down or her down,
Yeah.
but I'm actually trying to, like, help us all move forward. So that.
Yeah. I just want to say, offer that I appreciate you saying that. So like that just actually helped me. That
Really.
just yeah, because I think what I often do, like all of those questions, I just frame them as, or in my brain, they just are like facts. And so then I just reject places rather than testing out the space if I could.
Mhm.
I've been in like women's groups and stuff, and I'm like, you're just like, oh, I don't, and so then I just stop. Yeah, rather than like, no, something alternate to that. Offer it in the space and just see. Because you also don't, you limit yourself, and you limit rooms for growth and
Mhm.
expansion that you potentially could, cultivate in that space. So anyway, shout out to you. Thank you. That was
Yeah, I think where that's coming from is, I think, my experience pastoring a church where I was the first woman pastor they had. And so, yeah, that is where my lens is coming from. It forced me, because I have to be in community with y'all. Not only I have to pastor you all, but I have to be in community with you all.
yeah.
And you can be in community with me. You all have never had a woman pastor. I have never pastored you all. We have to make this work. And it's the pandemic. We gonna have to figure this out, okay? We gonna have to make this work somehow. We did the best that we could. So there was a lot of grace, there was a lot of compassion, there was a lot of listening. There was a lot of listening on my part. And they did their best to listen to me as well. And we did our best to meet where we could meet. And I also had to acknowledge that sometimes, people that we are doing life with may not have the capacity. They just
Yeah.
may not have the capacity. And then I have a decision to make on
Mhm.
I navigate that space when they just have gone as far as they could go. And they
Mhm.
mean well, but this is too much.
Mhm.
This is, Pastor, I don't know, Pastor. I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I could,
Right. Right.
you mean we could wear pants to church? Yes, woman of God.
Yes,
You don't
baby.
have to wear a skirt all the time. Okay. And just giving them the grace, it
Yep.
was a lot. It was a lot. Like, when I first got there, I was on my contemporary tip. I was wearing my jeans and my hoodies to church with my Jesus loves you stuff. And they were just they they didn't know what to do. One of the ladies on her sick bed in the hospital, she was like, "Pastor Hill, can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Yes, sister, what's up?" She's like, "Why are you wearing those hoodies and preaching? Why do you be preaching in those hoodies?" She's so adorable. And just
Yeah.
using that as an opportunity to share my heart, to share my perspective, and just meeting in the middle. So meeting in the middle was, okay, Kim, maybe we need to pull out some dresses, honey. Maybe we need to, maybe twice a month, we can dress it up. Okay. Community. It's being in community. So yeah, I think now that I'm out of that leadership space, now I'm looking for something similar where I don't expect perfection. I don't expect everybody to think like me, but are you willing to move
Mhm.
together? Can we hold hands together? You
Mhm.
know, can we move towards justice and mercy and accountability and freedom to be human on both sides?
On both sides. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I think also similarly to Raven, like just like if the church is like not aligning, I'm just like, oh, not for me. And don't give the space for the interpersonal work that is like necessary. But also I'm like, do I ever feel the autonomy to like have those questions, ask those questions, or have I been hurt so bad when I want to ask those questions that it's like,
Yep.
don't say anything, right? But that doesn't give room for for community, for the movement, for people to learn. That's a flaw on my part of not trusting that God's people also want to be liberated and feel liberated,
Right.
and
Mhm.
you're already moving in this space.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, because you showing up as yourself, as your free self, is already going to challenge them.
Yep.
Right.
Me
Yep.
showing up as the pastor of that church already
Mm-hmm.
like a lot for them.
Mhm.
So I had to, yes, do the work to hold space for all that complexity. Because, you know, I pray for you, you pray for me.
Right.
I love you. I need you to serve my.
Yeah. And I think that's why I'm so big on throughout this conversation, I'm always saying, but the nuance, but the nuance. And like, because I love people, particularly Black people, I love all people, but like, since we're talking about predominantly Black spaces, because I love Black people so much, I understand the nuance. And so as a person who has, become more trained, like just developed more acumen in the space, how much can you use that to their benefit? Because it's not necessarily about ministry. First of all, ministry is not about you at all. So like,
Mhm.
how can you use this stuff that you feel so good about and proud of to the benefit of God's people? Because that's what you did it for, right? You know what I mean? So then it becomes that personal, like, are you going to let this get in the way of you potentially being able to bring God's liberation and the real liberatory power of the Spirit into a space where there needs some liberation? So yeah, I just having that grace and empathy for Black people, the Black experience, and staying true or staying connected to the history helps to keep me out of myself and out of my flesh when I want to be like, y'all are crazy. Heck no, I'm not doing this. Like, no. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
even when you bring yourself, when you bring your liberated self, I think what's key, like we're gonna work this out, but please don't control me. Like
Right.
if
Right.
I'm sensing control, if I'm sensing surveillance,
Right.
if my questioning is being treated like a threat, your body will tell you whether
Mm,
this is a safe space or not, whether they're open or whether they're like, we don't do that here. Well then okay, well then we can, there are other places. So yeah,
right.
I think it's being intuitive and being aware that not everybody is going to love and accept you. But I do believe that there are churches, traditional churches,
Mhm.
that are open, that want to embrace, they want to do that work. And for me, I think also, as I'm saying this, as I'm talking about this, I'm realizing that because as we were saying offline, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I think there is a part of me that would love ideally to just find a church where I don't have to,
Right.
labor through the work. I think I just want to like just exhale. But I think realistically, community is about offering what God has given you as well, in a
Yeah.
way that still honors your boundaries and honors where your capacity. But you can't go to church and just be like, I'm just here to do nothing and just sit
Right.
and
Right.
receive.
Trying to get healed myself.
Yeah.
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 So
Look no further than to Jesus, right? I've been really the latter part of the year, I've just been studying Jesus' ministry. And like just as a continual reminder, as I'm like, coming to the end of seminary, and I'm like, action. 98% of his ministry was outside, like he's always about the business. And that doesn't mean that there isn't space for rest and all that. Like those are concepts that we can obviously talk about. But in terms of your commitment and this oath, if you will, that you made,
mhm.
yeah, it's actually about action,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
comfort. Yeah. Yeah.
That question just gave me more clarity myself. So I'm glad that we're talking about this. Like, okay, I know what I need to do.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That's another thing too. You cultivate yourself in these spaces, right? Like,
Mhm.
because when you go back, there's like, all right, put on the full armor, right?
Right.
Yeah, these are the spaces that bring. That's why I know you can tell I've been on like this whole conversation because I love this stuff. But yeah,
What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching?
If you can't tell by now, we love media, but more specifically, we love using media as a means to cultivate conversations around Black women, the things surrounding us, our personal lives, and we live for a good Kiki child.
Thank you guys for having me. And for your listeners, if they're wanting to get my book, they can go to my website,
yes, please share us all the things social.
Dropping Gems. Yep. Women in the Bible teaches about life, love, and relationships. If you're looking for a devotional that is freeing and liberating, that offers a fresh perspective on women in scripture, feel free to get the download or grab the physical book on my website. Yes, it's on Amazon, but I don't really get a whole lot of money when y'all go to Amazon. I'm gonna just be honest. So if you're able to go to my website directly, I would appreciate it to support my ministry and support what God is doing in this season.
WOTA fam, we have an exclusive. Kimberly has graciously given us a discount code for her book, The Sisters Stay Dropping Gems. You can head to her website at www.kimberlybulgin.com. Order her book for a 15% discount using the code AgendaPod. That's right, the code AgendaPod.
And yeah, you can follow me on all the social medias. And if you're interested in being a part of my ministry, the House of Women, if you're looking for a space where you can unlearn these that are harmful and become your most free, liberated, sexy, saved, bold self, I would love to have you in that space. We're doing a lot of great things in there, and the space is growing. We have about almost 30 women in there now, and so it's continuing to grow, and we're excited to see where God is taking us. So.
Nice. Wait, so Kim, is it online or is it like, do you guys meet in person or how does it work?
It's online mostly. We have we meet twice a month. I have what I call girls' nights and spirit nights. So girls' nights is where we talk about girly stuff, all things body, sex, relationships, living, enjoying life, all things women. And then spirit night deals with more things of the spirit, deals with more, Bible-based scripture stuff, where we do a lot of formation and unlearning. So those are the 2 times we meet. We do have a yearly retreat where we meet in person.
Oh.
And that's been awesome. It's been great to see people that I've been, traversing with for years and finally meeting them in person. So that was fun. We had our first retreat last year. But yeah, bulk of it is online. So
Awesome.
Yep.
I love that. So shout out to you. I love that. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. I feel like we exhaustively said why it matters. At the end, Kim, we always do at every episode why this matters. So with the subject matter that we covered, why does it matter? Kind of like the heart segment, we call it. So I'll give you the floor. Why does this matter to everything we talked about today? Why does this matter? Why does your work matter?
This work matters because shame is expensive.
Oh.
Okay,
Shame
girl.
is shame is costing us a lot as women. It's costing our bodies, it's costing our minds, it's costing our joy, our peace. Um it's not even like even financially, like the amount of therapy that we are that we are paying for
Child.
because of shame,
Mm-hmm.
because of religious shame, because of bad theology. The amount of Black women that are in therapy, that are, trying to find these self-help books.
Yeah.
Shame is expensive. The amount of relationships that have not happened yet, the amount of women that have not had babies yet because they've been virgins all their life and they still can't get married because of shame. Like this is a major, to me, it's an epidemic.
Without question. Oh, without question. Yeah.
It can go into public health. It can go into theology. Like it can go into all matters of life.
Yep.
Healthcare, you name it. Shame, control, sexism, misogyny is at the base of a lot of the issues that a lot of women are facing. And so that's why it matters. I'm on a mission to set as many women free, because their life depends on it. Their quality of life depends on it. And I believe that's what Jesus wants. I don't believe Jesus came to die for us to still be bound.
Mhm.
I think he really wants us to be free and to live an abundant life. So yeah, why it matters.
Echo. We echo all of that. So good stuff. Okay, audience. Well, Morgan, love you. Kim, thank you so much. So appreciate it. Gotta have you back to do like a theology deep dive. You know what I mean? Like I want to. Maybe we just needed to warm you up today. You know what I mean? But this was gonna have to do some theology stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts on so many things. But
Hopefully, I'd love to come back. Where are you all located again?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
And based in DC.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
so it's all okay, so it's virtual.
Mhm.
Because I was like, I would love to come and, like, be in the room, but yeah, we
Oh,
could do this.
yeah, we definitely have some things. I was just she don't know we got some things coming this year. So I hope you mean it, Kim, because we're gonna be reaching out because we got some things coming this year. So yeah.
Okay, absolutely. I love it.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Bye.